but it's not really shaking.
So it's only me that it looks like it's shaking.
Yeah, it's only you. This is the place where Talik Lake was been.
Yeah.
That one. Really old. Yeah, this one.
This hole.
This hole.
Now, if you've been following the saga of Talik's accident, that's the place. And you can see there's grass on either side. So, actually, now that we're on the subject, we may as well clear it, because everybody in the family, looking at how Talik has recovered from what was an accident, she's doing fine, and she's not traumatized. Now, I don't think you have to be an expert on female abuse to know that there's a big difference between falling off a bike and being brutally beaten and raped. Well, we all agree that she fell off the bike because she is back to her happy smiling face, because her wounds have healed fast. They're healing fast. They were bad, believe me. I felt like crying when I saw her, as everybody did. You shouldn't really be surprised that people were shouting at her. I can remember when I was a kid, and if I was silly at crossing the road and I didn't look, and I almost, perhaps had a close shave with a car, my mother would get mad at me. So it's not really surprising. Now, the other thing, I've got to touch on the other thing. The other thing is the Filipino way of laughing at everything does not mean that they don't take anything seriously. And if you haven't got that down when you come to the Philippines, you're going to be in a state of confusion a lot of the time. Now, back to looking at our road. It's been raining for only a few minutes, but torrential rain, and this is the path. Look at it. Now we're using a holder that goes onto the rear view mirror, and I remember the first time we tried to use it that it seemed to be a bit shaky. So if it's a bit shaky, sorry about that. I would not have used this phone or this holder. Let me get you there a bit so you have a frame of reference. So this is our road. I count this road as being 2 miles. I don't think it is 2 miles. But if you're walking it and it's raining, it seems like 2 miles. But you can see that the road becomes the drain for all of the water. It seems that it's, the road is carved through the hills. So the hillside all next to the road are going to drain off into there. This little spot here with the trees on the right is where the carabaos like to come. Remember that a carabao is a water buffalo. You see up there under the tree there's a mama and her calf. And this road going up now, this has seen some repair work by, I think it was the Taogama, and they've been along, they've done some repair work. Boy, it really needs some serious work on the road, which eventually we will get to. But right now, here's a typical thing. We've got a carabao in the road. Now, what the girls usually do is they hop out and they get the rope that's attached to our carabao there, and they just pull the carabao out of the way. For me, I don't do that. So I approach with great caution so as not to startle the animal. Because I did see once when the carabao was tied up in the yard, and for some reason this carabao got mad, and with those horns it head-butted some damage into the plywood on the house. I'm just thinking what they would do on the side of our truck. There we go. Come on, old girl. Come on. Let's go. Let's take a chance. There we are. We're all past. And here's one where they did do some work, but it needs a ton more work than was done. This next small stretch, I think you can see, has been concreted. Now this is it's a steep gradient and used to get very, very muddy, deep mud. We would get stalled in this almost every time after really bad rains, like you've been seeing. You've been seeing how much water gets dumped, and when it got dumped here, boy, it was difficult to get up. Got quite a few videos of being stuck here. So we concreted that part, thanks to our friend Dennis. It was Dennis, wasn't it, Beth?
I think 12,000.
He was the one that helped us on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at all of this water. Wow. And the thing with this road is that you really cannot take it for granted. On some of these drops, if you're looking down now, there's a deep ditch on the side, which is supposed to be, the theory behind that is that's for the water to drain into. You can see how effective that is. It doesn't work, but boy, if you're not paying attention and you side slip into that ditch, which is so easy, that's a difficult one to get out of. Now, I'm not talking about these four-wheel drive trucks that you see, which are jumping and diving and bouncing along. I'm talking about having a truck that you really don't want any damage to occur to, and if it goes into that ditch, damage to the side as you try to get out can easily happen. I mean, even this here, look, if you can see the ditch off to the left, you don't want to go into that. So can't relax on this one. It's been heavy rain. I'm going down now. I've got a ditch on either side, so you really got to be careful. So we're going up here now. You can't see what's coming. And you can't see anything right now because the truck is hiked pretty high anyway, so the hood on the truck is all you can see. Now we're getting to see it. I'm not sure if you can hear. Turn off. If you can hear like a buzzing sound, intermittent, that is, see now look, sliding off to the left. Yeah, that buzzing sound is what Ford call a hill descent control, and what happens is that it will stop the vehicle from running away, so you're not having to apply the brakes manually. So it applies the brakes little by little gradually, and it keeps you down to a speed which you've indicated by going at that speed. So in other words, if you use it and you're driving the vehicle at just 4 or 5 miles an hour, which is what we're doing right now, then it will hold it to that. Just when you hear the buzzing, when it's applying it, it's applying the brakes for you. A little bit like cruise control. Now, if you're not into trucks, you might be forgiven for thinking that the Raptor is just all about name and looks, but it's about much more than that. It has a computer, which is not, that in itself is no great thing, because any of the big trucks now, similar to this, the Hilux and others like that, they've all got a computer screen, but it's what can come up on that computer screen. Obviously it gives you all the data that you need about the AC, about what is being fed on the music, on your sound system. But then you have another computer screen, mini computer screen, that goes between the two clocks that you have. One clock obviously is speedometer, and then the other clock is RPM. And what the computer does is it tells you a lot of other stuff. The Raptor has what's based, it has independent suspension all round, and this is unusual for a truck for the back. So the back suspension is independent. Whereas if you go for the normal Ranger, the I think 4x4 or a Wild Track, then it will have leaf spring. But this doesn't. It has far superior suspension on the back. Plus, it has much bigger wheels and tyres. So 17-inch, I think they are 17-inch wheels and tyres, and that allows for much bigger brakes. Now the back suspension, as I say, is independent, and it's capable of being programmed on the run to handle different kinds of terrain. So if you, let's see, I put the menu up, it says terrain modes, and the first one is for normal driving on the main road, on a normal tarmac or concrete, and then the next one will be, let me see, what's the next one? No, I'm not getting it up. What am I doing? And then the next one is Sport, or select 2H, 2-wheel drive to engage, and that's when you go into manual on the gearbox, or transmission if you're American, and transmission is 10 gears, and when you go into sports mode, then you change gear with the paddles that are on the side of the underneath the wheel. Let me see what the next. And the next one is for grass and gravel and snow. It gives you a different kind of ride on that suspension. Next, mud and sand changes again. Then Baja, which I take it is all those exciting advertising clips where you see them leaping over sand dunes, but we don't do that. And the last one is rock, so select 4-wheel drive to engage for on the rock. And out there it's still pouring down. So we're actually in 4-wheel drive now. Which lessens the risk of doing what I was saying and sliding off into the ditches that occur every so often on a 2-mile drive. Now we're almost at the end now, but this is a particularly bad place. It's very sheltered with trees, so this would be a cool spot temperature wise, but if you look like a swimming pool. So this is one of the reasons that we are known for driving a dirty Raptor, because this particular section here is always underwater and it's mud. So once you've taken this through and up on the other side, then the wheels are caked in mud, and the deep tread on these big tyres gets impacted full of the mud. Well, as soon as you get out onto the road, now we're going through the last part of our road, which is through this the part of the property that is owned by this man who has all of this stuff. Now he's a businessman, produces rice. That's rice, what can I call it? He processes the rice, dries it, and I suppose he bags it as well. Has a lot of different pieces of equipment, welding stuff. Has a very nice house on the right there. Now you can really see how much water has been dumped. We're now at the road, so I'm out of 4-wheel drive and out of my hill descent control. and we'll just be into the ordinary driving mode. But as soon as we